It is now 6:50 and the Weldon City School Board of Education has now been called to order. Can we all read the mission statement in unison? The mission of the Weldon City School Board is to maintain a highly effective educational system in which every student receives the highest quality education. School employees and parents work together to prepare students to become caring, competent, and responsible citizens who value education as a lifelong process. Thank you. Let us now look at the agenda and review it. Is there a motion to approve tonight's agenda?
Make a motion to approve the agenda for tonight.
Okay, it's been motioned and properly second to approve tonight's agenda. Are there any questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it, and motion carries. Next item is open session, approval of minutes. Get a motion to approve the minutes for open session.
Make a motion to approve the minutes.
Second.
Okay, it's been motion and properly second to approve the open session minutes. Are there any questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it, and motion carries. Next item is public forum. Do we have anyone for public forum, Dr. Dunn?
No.
Okay, next item is reports. Superintendent report, Dr. Dunn.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Just a few things I would like to share. On July 28th through July 30th, we had our administrative retreat, 3 days of thrills, I like to call it. We had DPI staff come in and talk with us about MTSS, AI, and parental engagement. We also had a young lady by the name of Dr. Lakeisha Walker, who came in and addressed the leader in you, because we all have a leader within us, which was very engaging and exciting. We also did many team building activities in an effort to unify. We had departmental meetings and we set the tone and talked about goals for the school year. We completed the week we completed that week with an after hours bowling excursion. And we also had a lunch cruise on that Thursday at the Spirit Office, just kind of close out what we had been doing all week long. So I say that was exciting because it gave us an opportunity to come together as one staff, unified together, to try to build upon each other's strengths and weaknesses in order to improve and move forward. We also had Convocation 2025. That was an exciting time on Monday, August the 4th. That was also an opportunity to set the tone for the school year. We had games and different things going on, but we also had Dr. Kinston Griffin from Dream Builders out of Charlotte, North Carolina, to come and serve as our keynote speaker for that occasion. Secondly, we had our professional development day on the second day of school, August the 5th. And we had many great session topics of interest that our very own staff members from Weldon City Schools facilitated and presented the information. And again, the purpose there was to provide a day of continued learning and support for our staff in preparation of coming back to school for the 2025-26 school year. Our principals engaged in boot camp on Friday, which would have been the 8th, I think, August the 8th. They were engaged with Dr. DJ Jones. She came out and held boot camp with them all day. For the most part, they dealt with some strategic planning, handling difficult conversations, and many other things that pertain to the teaching and learning process in order to continue to help build capacity within our principals to be the very best leaders that they can be. And just a note for your hearing, our names of two of our schools have changed. What was formerly Weldon Elementary Global Academy is now Weldon Elementary School, and what was formerly Weldon STEM High School Career Academies has changed to Weldon High School. We want to be exactly who we say we are, so we want our name to project who we are. And of course, we we believe that in the right time, we will go back to those names, or we will go back to an even better name that will exemplify who we are and the great things that we will have going on. That's all I have for the superintendent's report.
Thank you, Dr. Bell. Okay, now, it is time for my report. And I just want to welcome you all and thank you all for coming out this evening to be with us. We've started our school year off very extra strong, very strong. I have visited at least 2 schools and I just see great things happening in the schools that I have been in. I will get a chance to get around to all 4 schools to visit them and walk those halls, but the students seem to be engaged. They're excited about learning, and it seems that our staff is also excited about learning. So that's a good thing. I mean, not learning, I'm sorry, about teaching our students. So I think that that retreat and the things that we went over and things that were done over the summer, and also that convocation just, kind of boosted the morale within our district. And that's a beautiful thing because Weldon, we all often say it, charge of pride, and that's exactly what we do have all the time. So we want to get charged up and show the world that Weldon is the best. We can be the best. We have some great people in this district, working in this district, and we have some wonderful students. We just have to bring out the best in those students. And with that being said, just this past week, I see him in the audience. This past Sunday, I was given the chance to hear one of our students within our district do his initial trial sermon. And Mr. Cameron Bird, if you would please stand. I would say that he did an excellent job, and I really, really enjoyed hearing him. And I just want to let you know, they say don't mix the church house with the schoolhouse, but continue to allow God to use you. Okay. With that being said, the next thing on the item agenda, and I want to thank you all for doing such a great job within this district and continue to do so and serving our children with purpose and a smile on your face. Okay. The next item on the agenda is the vacancy for the NCSBA Board of Directors. And I was sent an email with this. And what they are wanting is representation for the Board of Directors. And we need someone on our school board to represent Weldon with the North Carolina State School Board Association. So at this time, I would like to know if there are any nominations for anyone on our board to represent our district. Mr. Bennett? Is there anyone that would like to be represented? You don't even have to nominate. If you're willing to serve, just let me know. Now submit your name. Or we can talk about this at a later time, because we have until September 25th to submit.
Yeah, we might need to talk.
Okay, all right, okay. Moving right along, the next item on the agenda is financial report, and at this time, Ms. Kidd has not gotten all the information that she needs, so we're gonna forego that report for this month. The next item on the agenda is curriculum and instruction and operations, and within our packets, we have information that covers our curriculum and instruction department, CTE, exceptional children, and operations, the new school project, and central office update. Does anyone have any questions at this time? And if so, we do have individuals here that are able to answer any of your questions. Are there any questions in regards to what's been given in your packet? If not, at this time, we're gonna move right along to consent agenda. And we have special policy updates, bus camera security system. And we have, that'll be it, A and B.
And I'm happy to address the policy items. So board members, you've recently finished approving the NCSBA's spring policy updates. Just last week, the School Boards Association released a special summer update in response to some recently passed legislation that requires boards to adopt or make a number of policy changes that are supposed to be effective at the beginning of the school year. So school districts across North Carolina are having to respond to this legislation, react to it. The NCSBA has worked very quickly to adopt or propose revisions, not only to yours, but to other policy service subscribers in order to comply. For a little bit of background, there was a state bill HB 805 that was passed by the Senate and the House, but then vetoed by the governor. That veto was rather recently overridden, and that's the reason we're all kind of having to respond very quickly. That bill and the policy changes impact a number of policies, your parental involvement policy, inspection and objection to instructional materials policy, school trips, the policy for religious-based exemptions from school programs. It addresses a number of different areas, and given that these were rather not late getting out, but not as far in advance as usual. I'd like the opportunity to walk through them in a little more detail than we normally would, just because we just got them yesterday. So if it would make sense to you, what you have in front of you and what's posted in Assembly is an overview from the School Boards Association, and I'd be happy to walk through it and explain the changes and answer any questions that you have. If that makes sense for moving forward. Okay. All right. So, so again, you have this in front of you. It's also in Assembly, and you also have the specific red lines. But there are 13 policy changes that I'm proposing that you consider approving on first read. So waiving your second read, approving on first read, again, just because the legislation requires these policies to be in place at the beginning of the school year. Your first is policy 1310-4002. This is your parental involvement policy. The change there is a reference to a new state law requirement that requires parental permission before allowing students to share sleeping quarters with a member of the other biological sex, other than an immediate family member during any activity or event authorized by school. So this would impact athletics, it would impact field trips. And again, this is a new statutory requirement that all boards have to adopt. So that language has now been added to your 1310-4002. And there have been some corresponding updates to your legal references and cross-references. 3210, parental inspection of and objection to instructional materials, has been updated again to reflect some very new state law requirements that the titles of all library books at a school be available in an online searchable database, and to give parents the ability to search and then identify any particular materials that they don't want their child to be able to access. So that's a new requirement effective with this new school year on very short notice, and that's been added into your policy 3210. And we also have policy 3320, school trips. That policy has also been revised and updated to reflect the new requirement that really it's a prohibition on students sharing sleeping quarters with anyone of the other biological sex during a school trip, with two exceptions. The one, again, is if the member of the other biological sex is the student's immediate family member, or the second exception is if the parents of all students sharing the sleeping quarters have provided written permission to the school. So that's the change reflected in 3320. Policy 3510, religious-based exemptions from school programs. This is also a new state legal requirement that's related somewhat to some U.S. Supreme Court cases that have come down recently, that gives students and parents the ability to request that they be excused from classroom discussions or activities if the discussion or activity in their view violates their religious beliefs. So that language has been added in your policy 3510. It, as reflected here, allows students to be excused from discussions, activities, or assigned readings that the student parent or guardian believes would impose a substantial burden on the student's religious beliefs. There's also a requirement to provide in advance, if practicable, notice of upcoming discussions, activities, and the law also requires that if a student is excused, that they be given some alternate activity. So those requirements are all reflected in here, and the policy also establishes a process whereby a parent or a student or a guardian has to submit essentially like an explanation. So they have to actually submit some sort of documentation as to why the particular discussion or violates their religious beliefs. Policy 3620, extracurricular activities, again, just reflects that new state law requirement or prohibition on sleeping quarters, and also updates some legal references. Policy 4120, domicile or residence requirements. There's also a somewhat unrelated, but also a new statutory requirement around the enrollment of children of military families. So there have been some corresponding changes made there. And that's to address families who are in on a temporary assignment, but within the school district's orders. This next one will require you to make a decision as to which option you choose. So this is not part of HB 805, but there was also legislation that was not vetoed, but the governor signed that limits and restricts the use of wireless communication devices, and cell phones in schools. It's gotten some press as a result of that new legal requirement. School districts are required to adopt policies on the use of wireless communication devices. Now, your school district has had for a long time a policy on this point. As part of the NCSBA model policies, it's already fairly restrictive, and that is sets as a baseline that devices, while students can have them, they're not supposed to be out, they're not supposed to be used, they're not supposed to be visible. But the existing policy does allow school-based administrators to authorize use for both personal purposes and instructional purposes. Now, the statute that was recently passed limits it even further. So instead of personal purposes, that's out. Devices need to be put away, not on, not visible. And the only exceptions now under the new state law are for use if authorized for instructional purposes, for emergencies, in accordance with a student's IEP or 504 plan, or if a student has a health plan, like a student with diabetes, for example, there's a blood sugar monitoring app on their phone. So there is discretion for boards here in terms of, under the statute, the prohibition applies to the instructional time, like cell phones and other wireless communications devices are not supposed to be out during instructional time. There's discretion for boards as to how you define that, right? What is instructional time? Is that bell to bell, right? As soon as you walk in, the first tardy bell to the dismissal bell? Or is it just when students are actually in class, but otherwise during passing periods, lunches, that kind of time, they'd be allowed to have their devices out? So what the School Boards Association has done, they've created two different options for boards. So policy 4318, option A, use of wireless communication devices. That proposal from NCSBA makes some revisions to your existing policy to reflect the new restrictions and exceptions under the state law, but it establishes as a definition of instructional time that it's time when students are basically with their teachers, right? So during class. But it would otherwise allow students to have cell phones, use their cell phones during passing periods, during lunch, recess, right? Other than when they're in class receiving instruction. Option B establishes a strict bell-to-bell ban. So that would mean when students, from the first tardy bell to the dismissal bell, cell phones need to be put away, turned off, not in use, other than, again, with the exceptions of the statute, if it's specifically authorized for instructional purposes, for emergencies, IEPs, 504s, or health plans. So, I guess it makes sense kind of to pause there and allow for some discussion amongst board members as to what you want to do. Again, I apologize for bringing these to you and asking you to make a decision, after you've just received them. But again, these are required policies and changes from recent legislation, with the intent that, these all be in place at the school year. General Assembly was thinking about traditional calendar schools, and of course, y'all and those with year rounds, have already started. So, I'll just stop there just for discussion on the wireless communication device policy.
So essentially, option A, saying, hey, they can have them during the day and they can just between classes, that sort of thing.
That's right.
Option B is, hey, from the time you get to school, the time you go home, no devices.
Right. Students can have them in their possession, but they have to be put away, turned off, not in use. Plus one of the exceptions.
Anyone?
Well, I'm going to, my personal option, well, my choice is going to be A. And I'll say A because, it was a long time before I finally got my child a cell phone. But when those things, when the shooting happened in Uvalde, Texas, it was the students. If they didn't have their phone, they wouldn't, 911 would have been able to, they wouldn't call them. So I don't believe in students having their phones out during instructional time while the teacher's teaching, no. But I feel like anything can jump off and pop off. We're in 2025 now, and everybody basically have a cell phone. So I'm going to go with A because you never know when the teacher or the administrator or anybody may not be able to get their phones, but those students got to theirs and they were able to reach emergency services. And I hope nothing like that, God forbid, had something like that happening in our district, but that's my reasoning for me choosing A.
I gotta say, no, I was gonna say, I was really leaning toward B, but then as you bring that up, that, it does make, sense. So,
And I think that if they have them, they pull them out during instructional time. We have the principals here right now, all four of them. Do you all have problems with cell phone usage in your schools during instructional time now?
Not now, since we've implemented policy moving forward for 318, not now. But that's just the first few days of school. So after a while, things kind of tend to change and shift. But right now, it hasn't been. It's still a problem.
So what is the pleasure of the board, A or B?
I can lean, I can lean.
You
toward-
say A,
Yeah, I can lean, I'm leaning toward A.
Ms. Jenkins? Ms. Harrison?
I go for A.
Okay, can I get a motion to approve option A?
Make a motion to approve option A for.
Okay, it's been motion and properly second to approve option A. Are there any questions? All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? Ayes have it and motion carries. Ms. Jenkins?
Okay, thank you, board members. Next policy is 50-24-61-27-72-66. This is just a change, really just in terminology. It's your emergency epinephrine delivery system policy used to just reference auto injector devices, and now there are different ways to administer that type of emergency medication. So there was a statutory change that resulted in a change in terminology there to include and allow for nasal sprays. Policy 50-70-53-50, public records retention, release, and disposition has been updated to reflect new statutory requirements for certain information related to central office salaries to also be part of, the public portion of an employee's, personnel information. So that has been updated to reflect the new state requirements. 6125, that's your administering medicines to students policy, has also been updated just to reflect the change in terminology from an auto injector device for your EpiPens essentially to a more general epinephrine delivery system to allow for nasal sprays. Policy 6340, transportation service vehicle contracts, has been revised and updated to reflect new statutory requirements for criminal history checks on your contractors who provide transportation services. So in some districts, that's, for example, like special transportation service. I think that's a standard practice in districts, but now there's a statutory requirement for that. Policy 7100, recruitment and selection of personnel, has similar language that's been added around criminal history checks. And then policy 7820, personnel files, has been updated to again reflect the new requirement to make certain salary information related to central office employees public and posted. And that's in section G of policy 7820. So I'm happy to, that's all 13. I'm happy to go into more detail, answer any questions about them. Again, we are asking for the board, if you're so inclined, to waive second reading and approve these on first read in order to meet the statutory requirements for these policies and policy changes to be in place. But I'm certainly happy to answer
So
questions.
essentially, I mean, these are done.
These are required.
That's what I'm saying, so,
What's the rationale?
uh,
And I've reviewed the updates, you know, that they, in my view, meet statutory requirements. I mean, anytime you're getting a policy from NCSBA, they have an army of lawyers who are looking at it and making changes and thinking about what other laws might impact whatever it is that they're writing. They work really hard to get these out to districts as quickly as they could. You know, I personally, my legal opinion, I don't have concerns with the revisions. They reflect what the statutes require. Again, that one area of discretion on the cell phone policy, you've made your decision there. These others are not a whole lot to.
if it's not a lot to decide on.
I have a question. 7820, where, all central office employees, information will be posted online. And 5070 and 5350. So I see this as central office staff, it spells central office employees out. But what about the entire district? Is the entire district under 5070 and 5350 or?
No, that's also just with regards to central office employees,
office.
which has been defined in the revised statute to basically mean anyone who's not assigned to a school. So, you know, it'd be your kind of traditional director and above level roles, but also if there's, you know, one single PT, OT, or social worker, right, who is based out of central office, serves all the schools, that would apply as well.
Is there a motion to approve, is there a motion to approve the, policy updates?
I make a motion,
Waive second reading and approve.
Waive second reading?
make a motion to approve, policy update, to waive second reading and approve policy update.
Okay, it's been a motion properly second to waive the second reading and approve the policy updates. Are there any questions? All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries. Next item on the agenda, well, we do have the, consent agenda. We have not approved that. That was a part of it, but we approved those separately. The bus camera system. Mr. Hunter, you want to talk about that a little bit? Yes.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
So, last month we brought to you that, we had been looking into getting a camera system for all our, buses. So we brought in the, three recommended, or proposed, offers for, who we can get this service with. We have Fortress Mobile, 247 Security, and, USA the Mobile Solution. For the, quotes that I was able to achieve. And we are asking, the board to approve the, information that we got from Fortress Mobile, Security. And looking in, meeting, talking with all three of the companies. Fortress was the one that I really saw at the, transposing this summer. So seeing their product, I really think that it'll be a good fit for what we're trying to do. Or fit our needs, as a district. What really stood out to me with them was their customer service. They have a representative that'll be coming in. He'll also do the installation. The other two, was a requirement of, we had to do our own installation for the product. But with Fortress, they'll come in, do the installation, as well as, when he's in the area, come by and make sure that everything is working properly, or, see if there's any needs that we may have with the, camera systems. If you saw should have in your package that I got 2 quotes from him, just considering which direction the board want to go. We have 13 school buses or yellow buses. So we could outfit, or so you have a quote for that, as well as a quote for if we put our activity buses for 17 units.
So do you have the quotes?
Yeah, we don't,
That we don't.
we didn't bring, okay. What is some of the, you highlight some of the technology, things that, the reason that, that led us to this decision, that they're the best, or
Yeah,
what are some of the
So-
highlights?
as I stated, the customer service was one of the things that, that stood out to me, because like I said, with the other two, there wasn't a whole lot of customer service one, but you was actually just getting the equipment, and then you were actually doing it yourself. Or we had to go in from there and, hook all the equipment up in the units ourselves. But Fortress also included a, first year software package, where we got the first year of, actually being free. And then it would be a subscription, well, all of them have a subscription for the, live, or, access to seeing the, cameras as it's going live time. So that was one of the main things that really, another one of the things that hit with me was having the access of being able to, from my office or from my phone, I can actually see bus 323 as it's going down the road, actually seeing live footage of, what's happening on the bus.
Okay.
Um,
That's what I was getting at, kind of what it.
Yeah. Yeah, which all of them pretty much kind of offer that.
Mhm.
But in talking with the representative from Fortress, I could just really get a good sense of, and plus he had a nice demonstration of his product while he was on site. So he showed some recorded footage as well as some live footage of, buses that was actually in service while we was at the, transposing. I also had an opportunity to visit with Mr. I can't think of his name, that's a slip of mine. He'll come back to me. He used to work with him, but he works for Cater, so he brought over one of my, when I found out that he used the system, he brought over one of his buses. So I had the opportunity to actually see it in a live bus. He came through and we looked at the camera system. And he showed me how it's set up, as well as, the different camera options that he like I said, I just think it would be a great fit for, what we're looking for with Fortress. But the live feature is one of the main things that I really like about it, is that you can actually see live footage as it's actually going on real time. So that was another big main plus.
Is there a limit on how long we can keep footage for or save that footage?
Well, by it going in the cloud, it usually, I don't remember the exact amount of time, but you do have access to cloud storage. So you have the option of both. So you have cloud storage as well as you have, physical, hard data storage too as well, which that doesn't last as long as the cloud storage.
Right.
So with the hard data storage, I think it was like 30 days of coverage before it starts, rewriting over. But the cloud storage was
Okay.
So what was the downside in the other two companies? One of them was US Cellular. and-
yeah. So with US Sailor, and speaking with I didn't actually speak with the representative that did the camera division. They had a representative from US Sailor at the Transposium. And, we also met here. He came and showed me some demo stuff in the brochure. But I didn't really get a good feel for that particular product, especially for being in the rural area. I know we're gonna have some blind spots, and so it was totally, it was gonna be some times or periods that we was gonna lose some coverage time with the US Cellular option. So that was just one of the things that I didn't, that really stuck out to me was, it was totally dependent upon being in the coverage area of, the footage that we'll be getting. And speaking with the representative, he wasn't he didn't give me 100% because it wasn't his division. So he really couldn't give me a good total feel of, or making me assured that this would be a good option for me to go with. He told me about the product, showed me a few things about it, but I just didn't get a good feel. Not as well as what I did with Fortress. Like I said, I seen several examples from Fortress. Mr. Boone, Carlton Boone, is who I was thinking of his name when coming about. He actually brought a bus out to the elementary school when he did his training, and they actually got to see the system in action. And 247, and speaking with them, they had a demo of their particular product. I just didn't get a good feel for them as well, especially from the customer service portion of it. Their representatives, they were talking, but not really like they really want business. Or for me, so I look at it as if it was something I was gonna get for myself, I wouldn't have went with it. So that was one of the main reasons why with 247 that I just didn't get a good feel from. Or that it would be a good fit for a product that we would want for our children, so. But I did with Fortress, and I talked to some other directors, transportation directors at the Transposium that was using Fortress product, and they was very satisfied with it, so. All the direction was leaning towards Fortress for me.
What were the prices for the?
So Fortress, we went with the 13. It'll be outfitted all 13 buses. There will be 4 cameras. And I don't have the exact number because but it's in assembly.
Mhm.
That was like 23.
326,
Right.
plus $6,259.50. So roughly around about 30, over 30,000 for 13 buses.
Well, so the 6,000, that's for the subscription, year subscription.
Uh-huh,
But
and
we wouldn't pay that first year. That's included. So
First year,
first, right.
okay.
So if we went with, if we, let's say we purchased today, we would just be paying for the equipment and he would come for the installation. We would get the software for free. And subscriptions will be for free for this year. Next year, we will pay the $6,000.
$1,259, okay.
Got it.
All right, so and for the 17 buses, if we did all 17, it'll be $30,174. US Cellular for the 13 buses is $7,956. For the 17 buses is $10,404. And for surveillance 247, I only saw a quote for just the 17 buses. I didn't see the 13. And the 17 buses is $52,000,
What?
$190. So
Why is USA so cheap? Is that who we use our phone service for?
Well, with that, we do have phone service with USA.
Probably some kickback credit.
I think that's what they're gonna use on the bus, they, all of it.
No, for it.
That's what they will put phones on the bus, that's why it's up to.
But now, if once we was getting it's a 4-camera, system that they provide.
Like two sides in the back.
Yeah.
and USA is
So-
with one camera?
It was 1 camera that covers, well, more or less like 2 cameras, because the way he described it, you get a camera that covers up to about halfway the bus. And then, it'll get the front and up to about halfway the bus, and then there was a camera that would be mounted close to the back of the bus. That would cover the back area. But you had to do your own installation.
Yeah. You weren't done right.
So that was another kickback for me, was
Yeah,
we would be, required to do our own service.
If I could ask a question, so with Fortress, there's the equipment and installation quote with a separate annual subscription quote. I mean, if the district has these cameras for 10 years, are you committed to 9 years of subscription services? If the district decides it doesn't want the subscription, is there a local storage option? You might not have the access to the live, but you'd be able to go back and review, which I think is what a lot of districts do, right? It records if there's a fight or something, you can pull it up for 30 days. Cause that would, I mean, if it's like, right, I mean, this would be right now, both of these are within your informal bidding range, but if we're talking about 10 years worth of subscription services, we'd be over 90 and in the formal bidding range. So I'm just curious how that works long term. Like, is it required? Is like the annual subscription required? Do the cameras, are they, essentially worthless without it?
No, they wouldn't be worthless without it. But you still would, have the option of being able to record, because you get a recorder as well on the bus. So the subscription is mainly for like the software as well as having the live feed. That was pretty much the, advantage of with the subscription. The way it was explained to me.
so we get the subscription the first year for free, okay, so that's a no-brainer. But years 2 through whatever, and we don't get the subscription. So let's say year 2, we decide not to go with the subscription. And so we save that money, but then we find out year 3 that says, oh, well, we may have some benefit. And we come back and get the subscriptions at that point.
We could come back and add it if
Like rain.
if we needed to. Yeah, we definitely could do that.
Yeah,
But let me add now is, I think we do have to do a 3-year with Fortress, so we couldn't just get it for 1 year.
So we'd be on a 3-year
Yeah,
contract.
pretty much we had to.
Yeah,
we had
okay,
to
so that's what
commit.
Jason was just kind of asking, so we'll be,
Well, that's
we'll be
12,000
obligated for those 3
13
years.
thousand right there.
So,
Well, that's 12, about 13,
yeah,
12, yeah. 12.
And then with US Cellular as well, I know it sounds cheaper, but that's just equipment that you still have to pay for the service.
service, right.
So,
What's the
and that's for
service?
each camera. On doesn't it show how much for each? It's like having a
13,
cell
it was
phone.
$10,404, and for 13, it was $7,956.
I mean, but the subscription, how much is?
It
subscription?
didn't have it up there. You Sailor, hold on.
And that would be a monthly fee. You got to pay that monthly like we,
Or you
like
like
we
to
do
do
it
it
on
phone?
the cell phone.
Okay, so what would you ask me now?
For the subscription, yeah.
Oh, monthly is $6, for the $6 and that, I don't even know what that is, video telematics. And the other one is Video Fleet Air 2 Cam, that's $45 a month. So
That
the
for camera or that phone?
total monthly services is going to be $867. That's for 17. And I
That's
don't
a
think,
month.
total customer monthly recurring investment, $867.
That's $9,000 a year.
But I wouldn't even think that we would need. I mean, for the school buses, yes, but the 17 is including the activity buses, which aren't, they're used, but not as, not like every day.
Usually no problem, really. Because the coaches usually have a problem.
I just threw those in.
I got
So
you.
you had an option.
Yeah. It's for 3 years. Yes. Yes. And for 13, the total monthly is $663.
$7,000.
Portions is a little higher on the front end. but it's worth it.
Yes.
Yeah, sounds like.
Let me go back to
Yeah.
Fortress.
Yes.
That's the, Fortress is the,
We could just do the 13.
13. Five-year warranty. So, okay, so the consensus of the board is saying to go with Fortress.
I make a motion.
Hold on, hold on.
I
said- We have to figure out whether or not we're gonna do the 13 or the 17 also.
But I said, let's just do the 13 buses. That's just me.
That's just her.
I mean, have we had any issue with the activity buses or anything that we thought about?
I don't think so. I don't, like, we haven't had activity, I mean, we haven't had a whole lot of incidents with the school buses. This is just kind of like, we're putting it in place for a safety precaution.
Absolutely.
But no, we haven't, to answer your question, activity bus wise, no, we have not had any activity with, students, fights or anything like that on the bus.
Okay.
Not since I've known.
So may I say
So,
something this time?
so if the,
I agree.
so is this vendor requiring, so you're saying it's a 3-year subscription? With the first year
Where's she
free?
Yeah.
Is that right? So what is the total, since these are quotes and not a contract on standard contract form? What is the total not to exceed then that you're asking the board to approve?
Well, so with the contract, I did, put the contract together, standpoint that you sent me. So I was just asking for the first year, which was the 23, whatever that total number was.
But if we're going to be locked in for at least 3 years at the, at the minimum.
So one option board members could be I'll defer to the board and administration. It could be, board has a preference for one of those quotes. Right, would be that I can certainly work with administration on drafting the contract to make it sure it's clear as to the particular quote, attach it to the contract, the actual software subscription term. And then, that could come back to you as one single, consent item with, here's the contract, here's the not to exceed amount. It's got the applicable quotes attached, and it could be something that you approve at the next or a future meeting. It sounds like there aren't any current existing issues on the buses, which means you could have a little more time. But the other option would be if you want to approve subject to further attorney review, then I could work with staff to get all that together. I've not worked with any of these vendors before, so I don't know if they'll want to, negotiate or have any changes that they'll want to the district standard form, but we can usually work through those things. So it's really up to you whether you wanted to come back to you as one, complete package or delegate to staff.
I have a question. If, let's say we were to go with Fortress, once the contract has been signed or solidified in a sense, could you add to it? I'm only asking because we say we don't have or have not had any issues with activity buses, but we don't know what's gonna happen from day to day. And this would be the main time that something would happen. I mean, we're transporting our athletes, anything could happen. And for the activity buses not to have the same capability to be able to look at something could be problematic at some point or another. So I'm asking if we were to go with just the regular buses at first, could you add on later if you wanted to? I think we should do it all at one time, but.
Yeah, I believe we can, in talking with the representative that I've spoken with. Yes, I think we do have that option there to do that. Now, I don't know if it will be at that price, at $1,600 per unit, because that's what the quoted me at the transport, which I think is really more than that. But, that was the price quote that he gave me. So he was still, honoring what he had told me when we was down at the.
Well, I was just thinking about external optics. So if something were to happen, you brought up a good point, Dr. Bloom. Something were to happen on one of the activity buses and didn't do that. And so you look at it and then from the outside, somebody says, well, they did all the other buses, why wouldn't they do the activity buses? So, so my thing would be just.
And
if we're
do
gonna
them
do it, just
all
go ahead and do
17.
it. Yeah, already have that capability if we're gonna do it.
Well, question, is there monies available to do it? All right.
I believe so, but I'm.
We got the checkbook, we got the checkbook.
We could revise our safety grant, to add more into that line if necessary.
Okay, all right. Well, what is the pleasure of the board? Can I get a motion to approve either the 13 or the 17 or however we're gonna do it? But somebody put a motion out there.
We need to approve it.
Well, also like
Oh,
what is the board proof, right? These are quotes, so is the board.
Oh, well, we need a
approving-
definite number, don't we? Or we need to have, we're approving, I guess, first of all, which company, let's go with the company first. So can I get a motion to approve which company we're gonna go with?
Well, I mean, so one option could be, if you have a specific quote that you like and that you want staff to continue to explore and put together into a contract to bring back to you, you can just, select from these and then give that direction to staff and to me to assist. I mean, so do you want to approve it tonight without any further additional
There's maybe
review?
some negotiation,
What you
maybe
just
it's
said, the first
negotiated
thing you
for,
just said.
yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I mean, it could just be, I guess, a motion to, you probably don't even need a motion. It sounds like the general consensus is 17 buses.
Yes.
Yes, yes.
So I mean, I can work with staff to make sure we have a contract drawn up and bring that back to the board at the next meeting using those quotes, and then they'll have the final numbers. I mean, right now, I guess we'd have to do a little bit of math to figure out what the subscription would be. The other thing we might run into is a lot of times there are auto renewals, so we typically have to negotiate that kind of thing. But if that is the clear consensus and direction of the board, I think it's perfectly fine and appropriate if administration and staff are interested in taking that approach, that I'd be happy to work with them and bringing a contract back at the next board meeting.
Okay. Thank you so much, Mr. Hunter.
Thank you, Tom.
All right, so can I get a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Make a motion to approve.
Are there any?
Second.
Okay, it's been properly, motion and properly second to approve the consent agenda. Are there any questions? All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries. Next item on the agenda is break, but we're not gonna have a break because we are about to break out of here. The next item is discussion. Is there anything on the, anything, anybody want to get out their chest tonight? Okay. All right. Next item, and we're gonna take action from closed session. So can I get a motion to approve personnel from closed session?
I make a motion to approve the personnel action items from closed session.
Or second? Okay, it's been motion and properly second to approve the action items from closed session. Are there any questions? All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries. Any board comments? If not, can I get a motion to adjourn? Okay, is there a second?
Second.
All right, it's been motion and properly second to adjourn. Are there any questions? All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? Ayes have it. It's 7:47 and we are now adjourned. Thank you all.
Yeah.